Hello and welcome to the Early Bird Special with your hosts, Carol Montgomery and Julia Scotti. And now, here's Carol Montgomery.
Someday we're going to get music, I promise, people. I promise you there'll be music and it'll be much, much more professional. But for now, hello. Hey, everybody. Hello. It's March. It's March. It's been a year, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a year since this whole pandemic thing started. So, wow. I can't believe that, huh? We're at a year now. I hope everyone is okay. I think it must be, yes, last week I mentioned that I was getting my shot, so I got it. I'm very excited. That you've heard me say this and I'll say it again. Trying to get a vaccine online in New York City is like trying to get Springsteen tickets. I mean, I had computers everywhere, refreshing. And then the fabulous Vicky Cooperman turned me on to this Facebook group that specifically gets vaccines for people in New York City. So you go on and they'll go, oh, hey, so-and-so, here, try this link. And so what's fascinating is I was literally up in the middle of, because I'm about to be 63. I'm like, so I was up and it was like 7 a.m. I thought, I'm going to try it. And they were giving away, they were taking appointments for the Javits Center, which is where I wanted to go because I knew the National Guard was running it. And I knew because of my years of going overseas for the boys and girls in the military, that would be run well. And here's how fast it went. I literally put in everything I had to do. And I'm like trying to do it fast because I have to now make one for my husband, right? And my appointment, I think, was at 11:15. When I finished doing my appointment, the only appointments left were like at 5 p.m. So we had to go, like I went in the morning, then he went back. Let me just say something about the National Guard. If there's anybody who is ex-military or are military right now, you guys are the shit. Because I was expecting such hell to get this vaccine. Do you know what I mean? Like I thought there was going to be lines around the door. You know what I mean? It was going to just be. And we got there. You show your paper that shows that you can come here. They point you to another line. You go. It's like Disneyland. Remember those days when we used to be able to squish all together through the lines? And so you go through these like Disneyland line, and then you check in, and the person checks in. They take your stuff. They go, okay, go there, and it literally from the moment I got there till I was sitting waiting to see if the effects worked was 20 minutes. And when my husband went later, because it was later in the day, it was about 40 minutes. So the National Guard, you are my heroes. You were my heroes before this, but I want to tell you, you are my heroes now. Not only did we get the shots, people like, because I'm sure it's different everywhere else. I really do. But while I was getting my shot, there were two people. There was a woman who was doing the shot and one who made sure that they put in your information into the computer. And then they give you a card and they say, here's when you come back and you get registered and that's it. And we're going back in 3 weeks. So I'm thrilled for a lot of reasons. And I should bring this up. I'm a big conspiracy theorist, so I don't trust shit, and I did it because I and everybody, the two fabulous ladies, I'm gonna be on the show. We want to get back to work, okay? So if it means that maybe I grow a third arm, or Bill Gates ends up knowing where I am at all times, I think it's okay if I can go make people laugh because it's really tired. I really, I get it. This has been a tough year for all of us, but comedians are hurting. We're really, really hurting. And I think we'll talk about that when I bring everybody up. But we're hurting because we really want to be back at work. And Zoom is okay. It's fun, maybe, kind of. I don't know. Anyway, we have so much to talk about. My guest is Sherry Davy. We'll bring her on as soon as I bring in my fabulous co-host. I see what she's doing, and I love this woman. You know this. We just did a reading of her play Love in Shades, which went amazing, and I can't wait to actually perform it for you people. So please, let's bring into the group Miss Julia Scotti.
God. Oh, George, I swear to God. Honest to God, if we were together, I would be. You should dump her. She's. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize we were. I was just. Look at him.
He's so
look
gorgeous.
at him.
You don't
look
have to.
At him.
Listen, George has been one of my.
Oh.
My. Do you know? Did I ever tell you the thing that Todd and I do, the good news, bad news joke?
No.
Okay, so George is. I was going to say George is part of the good news, bad news joke.
He has to be the good news.
Well. Here's the joke, honey. Me talking to my husband, honey. I have some bad news. What is it, hon? I fucked George Clooney. What's the good news? I fucked George Clooney. So that he's my George and Hugh Jackman are my men. I love George's.
I hope he lives up to his first name, Huge Jackman. You know who I was surprised I found so amazingly sexy too. I did a show. I did Larry Storch's 97th birthday. It wasn't Larry Storch.
I was going to say, if you say Larry, I'm ending the podcast right now.
But Jim Dale was there, and Jim. Oh my God!
He's a hottie.
Yeah, we're sitting in a booth. It was a dark booth. I swear to God, I wanted to go off on him. He just, for an old guy with that accent, very sexy for his age. Very. So Jim, if you're out there listening, just know that I think about you frequently, but not as frequently as George Clooney.
God, but you know what? Not only is he good looking and he's humanitarian.
Right.
What I love about George Clooney's career is that it was a late career, which when I came up with, when I was talking about doing Funny Women at a Certain Age, he was one of the people I always talked about, because I said, George, he was on, I'm sure you remember this, he was on The Facts of Life.
Right,
Did you remember that? And then of course he was on Roseanne, but he didn't hit until he was in his 40s.
ER, I think they said he was 33 when he did his first ER, or 38 maybe. No,
38.
Yeah.
So I mean, he was, he was older. So it's I always love when people make it later in life, like us.
like us, yes. We're almost 38.
We're almost 38. So a couple of things I need to say to you, by the way, and for the audience. The first, I just want to talk about the play that you wrote, which was. When Julia asked me to read it, I read it, and it made me cry. It made me laugh. It was really great. And then I did we did a reading on Sunday, and it's again made me cry, and it made me laugh. It's really, really good. I would love to see it, even if it's in a small little, like the Crane, even I would love to see it.
I would love to see it there too, but I have to say about you, when we cast you, this woman that Carol played was an Italian American woman. So, but I knew Carol. I just knew. I saw like a 10-second snippet of Carol's acting ability, and you just blew us away. I mean, it was I wasn't as surprised as everybody else was. Like, oh my God, Carol should be an actress. Yes, she should be. She's great. So everybody that read was just right on.
I mean, literally, there was not a weak person in the group. And I have to tell you, now that it's over, I remember saying to my husband, I was like, oh God, because I've been in these type of readings before, and there's usually you're lucky if everyone reads well. Usually it's type of thing like, I'm going to get some food now. And then but everyone emoted and was, I mean, it was really quite wonderful. So
I get this. I had the sense that everybody had the script I had sent it out about a week before.
Oh, it was like you sent it out like 2 years ago. Okay, you were very excited.
But I think everybody actually took some time to actually read through it.
Right.
And did a really, really fine job just a fine,
Oh,
fabulous
well,
guy.
speaking of which, because I just have to give you shit. I want you to know. I mean, because this is my process, and people think I'm crazy, but I call myself I'm the kid who does the book report the morning of the book report.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've been that way.
Same here.
Okay, but I had read it. I had read it quite a few times, and was trying to get. But I was laying in bed, and it was 6:00 in the morning on Sunday, and I was awake, and I was like, I have to get up and because it was on my mind. Like I was like, and that's what I did. I literally, Todd woke up at 8 going, what the fuck are you doing? And I said, I'm working on the script. And so that's my method. It's always been my method.
Hey, whatever it is, it worked because you were just terrific. I was,
Thank you.
it was, I was
A lot of fun.
emotionally drained when it was all over. I mean, I really was like physically, emotionally drained. It was, in fact, the last 2 days, I've sort of been like, I've had like postpartum depression from it, just.
Right, because you've done it now.
Yeah.
And now you want to do it again.
Yeah, and now it's like, all right, so now when are we going to play again?
Yeah, well, but that's of course, we're coming up on our year anniversary for when we were on the Today Show. So
that's right. What was it, March 14th?
March 14th. So you just go, this is life. Listen, let's bring Sherry on. I'll ask you the question I wanted to ask you, but I'll ask you when Sherry's here. But okay. I love this young lady, and obviously she has some dogs because they've been barking through that. She's also one of the original members of Women of Certain Age. She's done a couple of the shows when we were testing it out in the smaller theaters. But she's a great comedian in her own right. She's been on Nick's Mom's Night Out. She's a producer. She does everything. Do you know what I mean? We have so much to talk to her about. So let's bring her on. Let's bring on Sherry Davy. Hello, Miss Davy.
Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Sherry. Hello.
Cheers. I've got my wine ready. Got my lockdown bottle. You get this at Costco. It is Costco wine.
Do you buy volume?
It's total volume. Look at this.
Oh, my God.
It's a massive bottle of sangria.
Wow. Wow. 2 days?
2 days.
Wow.
2 days.
Wow.
It's been a long lockdown. Very long.
Have you gone, because I know that you had the whole thing with your heart and everything. So did you go, have you gone out? I mean, like, because I know you're compromised, I guess.
Compromised. Well, yes, I have been going out because I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm back in school. I was originally going for a master's in nutrition, and now it's sort of morphed into nursing.
Really?
So nursing school, and I've been volunteering at vaccination sites, and I've been giving out the vaccine and working with the vaccine for quite a while now. So,
okay, so
I am out.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. I'm the funniest nurse out there.
What did you say, Julia?
I'm going to be
I've been doing Sudoku. I did Sudoku. She's becoming a nurse and a Sudoku, whatever.
Well, Sherry is very driven. She always has been. Do you know what I mean? But now, are you still doing stand-up or no?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay. I'm going to be like the funniest healthcare worker out there. And I have to tell you something. I've always been interested in medicine. And even though I was doing stand-up and writing and doing all that for years, I was always very interested in this. And It's always been sort of on the sides, quietly taking classes. And then this sort of pandemic really pushed me forward. Because it's like, you have so much time, go back and finish up. And so now I'm about to begin a year-long. I'll start in like August and I should be done by June 2022. I'll be like a registered nurse and I was really studying epidemiology within it, which is disease control, which is perfect because I've always been into disease and here we are. It's just my time.
Wow.
That's great. I think a lot of us with the pandemic, I think that the lockdown caused us to look at our lives and attempt to do things that we might not have done. Had this not happened, we just had all this time, it's why not?
Absolutely. You're absolutely right, Julia. And also too, I've been working on a script for a long time. And that is, what's one of the great things about writing is that, you get to express yourself and be creative, but it's so lonely. It's really a very lonely pursuit. I feel very alone. I had a writing partner for many years, and we worked together, we formed together, but I don't have that writing partner anymore. So it's kind of a lonely experience. And going back to school is something that was before the pandemic hit. I mean, I was in CUNY. I was at CUNY Queens College.
Wow.
It was much more social. I would be in 2 classes a week, and it was great. And I could stand up at night. I would go right from there to the Broadway. And I was in the social world. But just being home in the first few months of the pandemic, working on a script was like, oh my God, just give me a gun, I'll shoot myself.
And I found just the opposite. I was, I'm not a very social person to begin with. I'm kind of a cloistered hermit person. But this was, with the play, I found I could block out all the other distractions and just really get absorbed into it. And I don't know, maybe that's a little psychotic. I don't know. I could be wrong.
We're just different.
Was that for me?
Sorry, that's my I'm soon to be 24-year-old daughter calling to ask for money, so I'll gladly not take the call. That's all she does. Her birthday's coming up on Monday, so the money grubbing is already like, what are you giving me? Oh my God.
Is she still living with you or no?
No, she's on her own, thank goodness. And she's out all the way west. Unfortunately, she got stuck with the pandemic out west. Oh, wow. And she's been out there since like February of last year. She went out there to visit her birth family and then got stuck with the pandemic. So,
where is she? What state is she in?
Idaho. So, what can I tell you? She's out there. And so I haven't seen her in a long time. But but her birthday's coming. She's going to be 24, and she's actually going from Idaho to England. She's going to England now to go. She's finally gotten it together. She's going to go to college, and she's going to university in England.
Wow.
Not really far from my family, so it's good. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah. So everybody's sort of like a different path. Is sort of like you say, it's sort of come around from this pandemic. But I tell you, it's been. As a performer too, I love meeting with you ladies and doing this show, but the Zoom thing has been a little trying after a while, right? And have you found that? I'm just not feeling the Zoom shows anymore. The big, the audience all around. It's difficult,
I did one last week, and it was a for money show, and it was so there was that added responsibility.
Oh, yeah, mine too.
Yeah, but I still didn't like it. It wasn't well, but as you're doing, you see, I replaced all those people in those little boxes with $20 bills.
Well,
what are you thinking about it?
What happened, I've talked about this on the show. When the pandemic hit for me, and Julia knows this, literally, our special, we were on the
special. I was just there. You would take the special. It was wonderful. Second special. You were on the roll. I mean, it was just
right. Yes. It was just like one of these things. So I was. Look, it affected everybody. Everyone. It was personal and everything.
By the way, these are only 5 calories each, and they're loaded with calcium. So. This is one night I was alone, and they become they're a go-to.
I have the cat treats that I like. They're smaller. They're only 2 calories, and they're not bad.
It's not bad. They're not bad.
They're not. I tried one last week. The cat treats,
chicken flavor.
No, those are too hard because I have a lot of dental work, and I don't want to bust a cap or something. So. See, at my age, bust a cap means a whole different thing.
Yeah. So anyway,
you were trudging along with you with the momentum, Carol.
So it hit me really hard. I mean, like to the point where people said, because one of the things that I love about our business and I love about the people in it is that we're very, within a week or two, people were doing Zoom shows. People were like, wait, I'm going to get out on stage.
People are very resilient. Yeah, very resilient.
And I could not I literally couldn't wrap my head around the fact that, so let me get this straight, and not just for me, but just in general, like that the world had basically stopped. So then Julia and I started this, I think we started doing this in April. It was like 6 weeks after the lockdown had started. And I started to come out and this was great because I love doing interviews and I love talking to my friends. But then somebody said, why don't you try one of the Zoom shows? So I did. And it was horrible. Because it's just, but what saved me was the outdoor shows. Stand Up New York went and they said, fuck it, we're going to go do shows in Central Park. And they saved me because I was able to go out and actually perform for people. Everyone was social distanced and masked, and it was great. The only time I've had a really good show was when we did the Nowhere Comedy Club, the Zoom show, right, Julia? I mean, they were a good crowd. They were a really great crowd. And you could hear them laughing, and it run really well. But for the most part, it's basically a bar show on the fucking computer.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. It's funny. You talk about the paying versus non-paying, but I did a couple of Christmas party shows for offices. Oh my God. This is when I was like
on Zoom?
On Zoom. And I was like, this is when I'm just going to go to medical school full time. It was a nightmare. And everybody had just like turned their camera off. So it was just a bunch of names. You couldn't hear anything. And oh God, it was awful. I had to do 20 minutes. And at minute 17, I was like, okay.
Yeah. But the Nowhere Comedy Club and Jess Miller, because we also did a show for Jess Miller, they are good producers for live shows. So they were able to, like one of the things that's important is, like, I know in the early days of Zoom, everyone was like, turn your mic off because they were afraid of the Zoom bombers. There were a lot of people coming in and bombing shows and everything. But, if you have your mic off and you have your camera off, then I'm just playing to the fucking wall. You have to have your mic on and you have to have your camera on.
Yeah.
So some producers are, some producers at the beginning of the show will be like, okay, everybody just turn on your camera and turn on your mic. And then they just leave. And you're like even what happened with the reading, Julia, that person who was on, that there was they had their camera off, but their mic was on, and they were talking as if they were watching TV.
Oh my God! No, it's like a real show.
It was someone I knew who shall remain nameless. Who did, and it wasn't intentional. It was just an ineptitude, technical ineptitude.
Yeah. And it was just so funny because we were all like, what is that? Why is there somebody? Like, I understand. Look, my husband's walked in and, Julia's cat will start meowing. You have the dogs. That's part of it. But this was so funny because, like, literally we were like in the middle of a really heavy scene. And then we hear, so you want some coffee? What do you want? You want to go get
art imitating life.
Oh, my God.
Truly.
So I wanted to do this with Julia, and you're, of course, she'll know what I'm talking about, and then we will actually talk about what I'm doing about. But Julia and I used to do a segment, and I think it's fair.
Okay. Oh gosh,
we used to do a segment at the beginning of the pandemic.
Little did we know,
right? When this person, we had a segment called "Which Cuomo Would You Bang?"
Oh gosh, neither.
Right, and of course, everyone. I mean, I think Julia chose Mario. Did you say Mario?
No, somebody else. Mario, if he were alive, probably Mario. But
yeah, but everyone, of course, said Andrew. Like a couple of people, of course, went for Chris Cuomo. So I said to my husband, I said, we have to talk about this today because I cannot believe what has happened. Because literally a year ago, that guy was our savior. Because he was talking to us straight. We didn't know what was going on. We had El Duce talking, saying, there's no virus. What are you doing? Send me more money. You know what I mean? So
Right.
So
you thought he was talking straight to us. I can tell you as a medical student and a healthcare worker, no, I knew that from day one because I knew what was going on with the nursing homes. And we saw what was happening.
Right.
We could see it. So I was like, this is very disturbing. As an epidemiological student, a student of epidemiology, I could see it and it was very disturbing. And now this whole thing with the women, all this stuff with the women coming forward, I feel like that's a distraction to take us away from the 15,000 dead people. So that way we stop all the lawsuits. I feel like this is like an invented crisis or something.
Wow. So you know what?
Honestly, it's just,
you might be.
Let me tell you, the wrongful death suits are going to come forward with the 15,000 dead people. I mean, it's shocking the lack of humanity this governor showed. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Well, it's interesting, but here's the deal. The president was so not having any humanity at that point. I'm talking about a year ago.
Let me just tell you something. Let me just preface this with that I don't like any politicians. I mean, I really don't. And I really, the former president, I mean, honestly, the day he left was just like the best thing that ever happened to us in a long time. You know, honestly, besides the vaccine, that was like the biggest shot in the arm we had, was just get this guy out, you know? I mean, I just have to interrupt you. When you're talking about getting the vaccine, I have certain people come in and, you know, I work at a vaccine site, like what you went to, a pod, a point of dispensary. And we no longer have the people wrapped around the building, because now they've figured out how to do it. And you don't want to have people wrapped around in there too long, because of exposure. And I'll still get the odd, I always tell a Trump supporter, because they walk in, they're the most nervous people. They're afraid to get the vaccine. They think it's going to make them queer. You know, these people, I mean, you know. So. And some people try to come in, and again, the Trump supporters, they won't wear masks because they'll tell me that they're not buying into this, you know, nonsense and stuff. It's like, yeah,
wait, let them in? You let them in?
Oh, no, anyway? Of course not. I mean, they tell me they're not buying in. I'm like, 500,000 dead people were buying. Right. 500,000 people died because they were buying into something. But
but to bring it back to Cuomo, here's the deal. Okay, I mean, I posted about this on Facebook, and I really, you know, I don't look. He should get whatever he needs to. You know, I mean, there should be an investigation. They should do whatever they do.
Listen, but when he makes De Blasio look good, that's
I know. But here's the problem. Here's the problem that I'm having with it. Okay, because you know, I don't know if you know about this young Congressman Madison Cawthorn. Do you know about this young man? He's the Republican that's in the wheelchair. And there's been allegations about him that came up literally at the same time, and nobody's talking about it.
Allegations about what?
About sexual harassment
with
women. And Trump, but Trump has 26. I mean, you know, E.J. Carroll is waiting for his DNA. So no, I'm not saying, look, Cuomo should be in trouble, and they should do what they have to do. But you can't have a Republican people going, he should be punished. And then the guy turning around who was, you know, the golden god that was at fucking CPAC, them turning around and going, but he's okay. It's okay. He said, grab her by the pussy, you know, on network television. You know, you're right, Sherry. I hate all of them. I hate them all. They're all fucking real shit.
That golden idol was so surreal that you look at it, you go, no, that's got to be.
Did you see that, Sherry? Did you see the?
No, what was that?
Okay, so they brought in a golden statue of Trump. Now, here's what the funny thing is, and somebody said
wait, is this the one with the little flip-flops on it?
Yes, with the flip-flops.
Yes.
First of all, have you ever seen the man in anything open-toed? Never. Like, I don't want to see those toes. And then also, and he's always in a suit.
They were little tiny toes, though. They were tiny little toes that went
so
with
bizarre.
his tiny little hands. Yeah.
I actually thought it was the Wall Street Bets guy made into a statue. I didn't realize it was Trump. You know?
Yeah, but somebody else said that they thought, because there's been Bart Simpson statues. It looked like he made it from the mold, but they put a different head on him.
Oh, that's funny.
Because if you look at it, I mean, you're right. Sherry, you were totally right. He's this guy, and you know, they got the top, but then they were like, "Oh, we'll just put shorts and flip flops on him."
You're right; it is Bart Simpson.
Yeah, you're probably right, Carol.
You're probably right, Carol.
And then there's the picture of his spiritual leader and her cohorts praying on it. It's like they're praying. There's a photo.
I missed this.
No! Look it up. Look up spiritual leader of Trump. It's that blonde woman. She's
the crazy
down,
one? Oh,
the crazy one. And all of her friends have their hands on the golden calf. I'm a Jew, and I know what this fucking means.
Wow. You know, that only goes to prove the non-existence of God, because if there were a real God, he would have looked at that and went, you guys are so fucked. You're not getting out of Orlando alive.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Sherry. You know, and I always say this about politics, because, you know, I've always considered myself middle of the road. I really have. I'm right in the middle. I said, but those 4 years of having that asshole in made me lean way left than I am, because I'm not. I'm a liberal. I like guns. I like to shoot guns. I went overseas with the troops, and I was the first one. They're like, "Do you want to do something?" Yes. I don't know how to do any of it. So, but they all are. You know, what I wrote when I wrote the thing on Facebook is powerful men need to keep their fucking dicks in their pants. Period.
That seems to be an issue.
It really does.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, this is why we need to have more women in women in the Senate and House. We need to have more women in politics, more women in roles of power. That's why it's wonderful to finally have a female vice president,
Oh, yeah.
Just like wonderful. This is a new era. So hopefully, hopefully Biden lives. I mean, I don't know if this guy already died. We haven't seen him in 3 days. I mean, God knows. I mean, there's always a countdown with this poor bastard. He's so old.
Yeah. I mean,
oh my God, don't say that. Oh my God. What?
He's so frail.
Oh, he's not frail at all. Oh my God, no. Oh, Jesus Christ, don't say that.
Oh, listen, you have Kamala Harris. You have a woman there, though. So,
oh my God, no! But here's this guy. He's waited 35 years to be in Congress to be a president. He finally gets it, and you want to bump him off? No. Hey, speaking of not another, but I just read, and I was reading in the AARP magazine that Tony Bennett's got Alzheimer's. Did you know that? Oh man, that is so sad.
Is he like 87?
99, I think, or 97.
He lives in my neighborhood. Like Todd and I have seen him. Like when we walk in the park. Well, you don't have people sitting on the benches, and we'll walk by. Todd and I always have a game of we always point people out and make believe that they're celebrities, and we'll walk by and he'll go, "There's Tony Bennett." I'm like, "Shut the fuck up!" It's really Tony Bennett.
Well, was he painting? If he was painting, that will tell you.
No, he just he just. He goes out and he sits there. He literally lives around the corner from me.
Well, it's like Larry Storch used to go play saxophone. He would go sit outside in the park and play saxophone. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know how we got off on the subject.
I don't know where we're going.
I don't know where it's going at this point.
It's okay. I have my huge bottle of sangria down here, so I'm good. So if I could pour you some, I would.
So here's the
milk bones. What a day.
What I wanted to ask you, because this is a big deal right now, and getting back to the comedy and clubs opening it up.
Yes.
Stand Up New York, who, everyone knows I adore Danny. He's Danny Zolden. He's the owner and everything. Yes. He just filed a lawsuit against Cuomo to open up the clubs in New York.
Idea. It needs to happen because honestly, it's everything is so what's the word? It's so haphazard the way they're going around reopening. Right. How come restaurants can be at 25%? How come clubs can't? How come I don't even understand where they're getting these numbers from. How can even restaurants afford to be in business operating at 25% capacity? Right. I mean, I don't even understand it. And they also, here's the thing too, and I don't know how we're going to do this, Carol and Julia, but stand-up really, to me, and I can tell that from years of being a stand-up and going from club to club, we're all about Broadway. When Broadway's open, we're open. Right. And we piggyback off of Broadway. I mean, when a lot of those shows used to get out at 10 o'clock at night, that's when the second shows happened at clubs. That's when you go. That's why the lineup really, the A-list of the lineup generally starts at 9:30 and over. Like at 9 o'clock, you have a few opening acts. You have one opener strong, a few not so amateurs. Then you have the pros come on because that's when Broadway lets out, and those people are walking out. You've got to have that audience coming down to a strong show. When they open Broadway, that's what will help stand up because also the tourists will be back. I mean, how is our business going to get going if the tourists aren't back?
Oh, absolutely. My husband works on Broadway, so we've been waiting. Yeah, we've been waiting. Supposedly, the rumor is Hamilton is going to open to limited capacity in July. But and this is one of the reasons why I love Lin-Manuel. His attitude is, look, I'm not doing this to make money. We've made money. So
he's made gazillions.
Right. So he wants to open. I think that's going to be the experiment because if it bombs, it's not like they're going to lose so much money. You know what I mean? Right. And then supposedly, fingers crossed, because Broadway says, and I understand.
Can I tell you something? Honestly, though, but that's kind of a strange barometer for the business because Hamilton is like the most amazing show. I've seen it. I saw it live.
Yeah.
2 tickets for $1,500. And I'm really not kidding. My daughter was obsessed with it. We saw it years ago. Is that really the bellwether for every show? And not every show is Hamilton.
No, but I think they want to see how they're going to, because what I've heard, my inside stuff is that the League of Broadway Producers, they want to go to full capacity. And now except for maybe the Marquee Theater, most of those theaters are tiny and their seats are like this. And you're right next to the next person. So they really want it to be where they don't have to do 50% capacity.
But my husband just flew JetBlue to Florida. The flight was packed and full. There was no social distancing on the plane whatsoever. So how come JetBlue gets to be at full capacity and Broadway doesn't?
Right.
What's that?
Right.
What if you had to provide proof of vaccination?
That could be. I could see that. I mean, I could absolutely see that. But here's what pisses me off. You can go see the Rangers play in fucking Madison Square Garden, but you can't go into 100-seat. Like I did it wasn't a paid show, but we filmed a show at Stand Up New York. We had about 10 people, excuse me, and everyone was socially distanced. So why is it that fucking the Garden, which seats 1 billion people, and so it's only a quarter of capacity, so it's only 2,000. So it's 2,000 people wandering around.
And
we just did a show.
The virus.
We just did a theater. Vince Valentine and I and Paul Lyons just did a show in Avenel, New Jersey, at a theater, and it was fine. They set it up. It was COVID safe, and everybody was separated, and there was 100 people there, and it was a wonderful night. And they're doing shows there, so I think it can be done. I mean, maybe Jersey's more progressive than New York.
But the airlines, I mean, my husband literally sat on a flight for 3 hours with no social distancing, and the flight took off from New York City.
Wow.
So how come the airlines can be at 100% capacity again?
I didn't know that was happening.
I didn't know it. He told me when he got on the plane, he said he couldn't believe it, that there were people sitting right up next to him. And he said, well, actually, he thought it was good, and let's get the plane full, let's get society going. But
right.
But then how come Broadway can't be open then,
But that's the thing, is that like we were discussing, because my son works besides being in a band and performing, but he works behind the scenes. He's a doorman and he's security and everything. My husband was saying, he goes, for a comedy club, how hard is it to take the tables out and make it at half capacity? But for clubs, and he's right about this, most of the clubs, at least the small indie clubs, everyone's standing, and even if you social distance, here's the problem. Once the fucking the band that they've paid money gets on stage, they're all going like this. They're all. I mean, one of the funniest things, because my kid's a huge music fan, and I remember this. He always would go to, like, if we would go to a concert together, like in one of these small clubs, he'd always leave 3 hours early. I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I have to be in the front." And I'm like, "You do that because I hate people anyway." This was before the pandemic.
Right.
So, because I know that when that band comes on, that surge, even if you're in the front, from if it's 1,000 people, they're all pushing at you. And I remember that, what was it, the Stones? Was it the Stones concert where those people were crushed to death years ago? I don't want to do that. So I understand, maybe rock clubs not doing that. But basically what I'm saying is to our audience is we need to open up the club, because also, Sherry, I don't know if you know this, all the clubs are open in Florida.
Yes,
they're open in Texas.
I did a show down in Florida. Yeah. And there's social distancing, and the show was outside. We need to get this going. Yeah, but here's the thing. I don't even understand how the clubs can be expected to stay open at 25% or 50% capacity. How can they afford it?
Yeah. Well, but the thing here is, and I don't know, because I know, even though I've gotten vaccinated, and like I said, I'll be ready to.
Yeah.
And Julia has also. I don't know if I want to go inside a restaurant yet. And I'm being really honest.
I got to say though, I go to restaurants all the time in Jersey here, and I'm fine. I mean, they do it the right way. I go to my favorite diner 2-3 times a week, and this was even before my vaccine. I only had my first shot, but I was going even before, and it was done right, and it worked. I didn't get sick.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we have to get to the point now where we're past the part of the roller coaster where we've hit the top, and we're on our way down.
But here's the thing too, and I want to mention this because I know I spoke with just Vicky Kuperman earlier, who's a good friend of all of ours, right?
Yeah.
And she knows, and I work directly with the vaccine sites, I'm volunteering, giving out vaccine. Apparently they've shut down a lot of the vaccine sites in New York City. They have shut them down. You're getting by appointment only, just so very select groups, elderly people with comorbidities, blah blah.
Right.
So how can we possibly be expected to be at herd immunity when you have less than 10% of the population immunized? And then if you're supposed to go out to restaurants, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, I would say as a student of all this stuff, I honestly don't feel that comfortable yet either, Carol. I'm like you. I'm not really.
From what I understand, though, in Jersey today, Governor Murphy opened up more people to get the vaccine.
Good,
so
excellent.
I don't know exactly what it was because I didn't hear.
In Connecticut too.
Really? Oh yeah.
I'll tell you, I live in Nassau County, and I work with Nassau County Department of Health and Nassau County Medical Reserve. We have one of the highest rates of immunization in the state. I mean, we're just giving out. We have so many sites and giving out like crazy, and thank God, But I'm glad to hear other states are opening up because it seems to be rather slow.
I don't like. Here's the deal. Here's what I don't get. There are people that don't want to take the vaccine that are eligible.
Right.
Why is it like my son is 28 and he won't come see me because we live with my mother-in-law and she's 83. He's worried that like taking the subway for 30 minutes somehow it's going to end up on his shoe and she's going to get sick.
Now, I will tell you, he is very much a vector. The young people are, and I'll tell you this very honestly. My sister had COVID and was very ill from it. And my nephew came home from Annapolis. He's a cadet down in Annapolis and came home. And he went to the big Army-Navy football game, which Fuhrer was at.
Yeah.
In December. He went to that big thing and he was exposed to all the guys at West Point and all the guys from Annapolis were together. And, the military is all together all the time. Came home and somewhere along the way picked up COVID. And he doesn't sick at all.
Of course.
Didn't feel anything. Gave it to my sister because the young people don't exactly don't enact the symptoms, have the symptomatology,
right.
But they pass it on because they're vectors to older people. My sister got it and was like deathly ill.
Yeah.
So I can see why your son would feel that way unless your mother-in-law has been vaccinated.
No, she's going through some other stuff that they don't want to vaccinate her yet because. Right. But interesting with him, like he's like his friends have all they're over it, and I understand it because I'm over it too. But
the young people are, they're like.
But he doesn't leave his house. I mean, he goes out, he rides his bike so he can get some exercise, and then he runs and everything. But he doesn't. And like it was his birthday 2 weeks ago, and I posted it on Facebook. I was like, you know what? My husband had to take his mother to the doctor. I went, fuck it. I'm getting on the subway. I'm going to see my boy. And we sat outside. We sat outside. Because, so like I feel bad because someone like him, he's not the one going out drinking and going to the fucking Army Navy game. And, he knows what it is. But unfortunately, you can't do that because the other thing is talking about the vaccines. And I'm sure you're aware of this. All the wealthy people, they're basically like, here's $50,000. Get me a vaccine.
Oh, they're all going to Florida. They're going to Florida. They call it vaccine tourism. They're all down there. You should see them all coming in from New York. They go down to the CVS down in Florida. The Walgreens. They're getting appointments, right? Yeah,
that's terrible. That's terrible.
And they're not paying. But at the same time, they're not paying for it. But I actually do think it's not a terrible idea to think about it. If you can go anywhere and get vaccinated, it's a good thing. We should be doing that. We should just open it up to the whole society.
Well, we just started with the drugstores down here. They just started over the weekend. Yeah.
But we did hear stories when we were down in Florida about all the Canadians that were down there.
Oh, sons of bitches.
Canadians. We need to go to war.
Right. There you go. War with Canada.
War with Canada, those fuckers.
We'd have to conduct the war in English and in French.
That's right.
Just to be fair.
Oh, sons of bitches.
Well, what's so funny is that once because I figured by, at March, so by the end of the month, it will have taken place. So I'm starting to slowly, not, that's the daughter again, slowly, try to get some work now, right? And I was like, I'll talk to the guys from Montreal. Oh, we're not allowed in Canada. We can't travel
out here to come for the vaccine, but we can't go there.
But I can tell you, little by little, we're starting to see little beams of light coming through. Those kids, they're booking them far enough in
I
ahead
just
in the year.
booked
But
a summer gig too. Did you just
Yeah.
do it? Yeah, summer stuff is coming up, which is nice.
Yeah.
no, I
fine.
haven't done summer yet, but we've got some in the fall. Yeah,
Excellent.
and then there's Utah.
Yes.
That's more mania. They don't care about it. They're so inbred that the virus is not going to get.
Where in Utah?
Yes. Yes. Well, let's talk about that,
They're
Julia.
protected.
Julia is going to be. Can we talk about it? Can we talk
Sure,
about
yeah,
why you're going to Utah?
of course,
Well,
yeah.
talk about it.
Oh no, I'm going out to record tape dry bar show out there. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because I every time I get booked in a place, like I always think of places like Utah as a foreign land.
It is.
But I think of anywhere that that's not New York or New Jersey as a foreign land anyway. And I always, I'm always concerned about being a trans person going into these places and how will I be, accepted. And according to them, they're very accepting. And I was like, okay,
What? Utah is because it's basically a Mormon state, so everyone just assumes, but that's all it is. But I will tell you that years ago, wow, this is going back a long time. They used to have a club in Salt Lake City.
I did. I know the club you're talking about.
Yeah, and the guy Spin. Do you remember Spin was the owner, and he was an ex-dancer. And the theater was great, and it was packed every night, and it was all what they call Jack Mormons. It was all the people that were Mormons, but they drank and they smoked and they
like people on Rumspringa from
right. So it is interesting because I think in every state, especially because we're on the East Coast or you go to the West Coast, but there are pockets of hip.
I was watching some of the videos from there, some of the comics that appeared there, and it was just like any other club, just no liquor. There's no,
I was there many years ago too, Carol, and I did this great show. It was so much fun. The audience was huge, and I went out there, and I was there less than 24 hours, and I said live in a show that I grew up watching, even in England, Donnie and Marie. I was the biggest Donnie and Marie fan. Wouldn't you know, Donnie Jr. was in the audience. Within 24 hours, I was in Marie's house. I got invited to her home. I was in her home. She had this magnificent Christmas tree. It was full with all those creepy dolls because she was selling dolls at the time. and these creepy little baby dolls. And she was like, "Oh, the tree represents life," because she's like pro-life. And
was she there? Or
she was there. She was wonderful. But I did ask her if
Did you ask her about the 50 pounds?
I asked her about stem cells. I'm like, "You got any stem cells? You got all these babies on the tree." And I was out of there in 5 minutes. I got to tell you. First, she loved me. And then all of a sudden, one little teeny abortion joke and boo, you're out. But that's Utah. But it was great. It was wonderful.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think
they're going to love you.
We are at the end of our time. So why don't you plug, Julia? Why don't you plug the date?
Oh, the date. Well, it doesn't matter because it's not going to air until the fall. But I think I'm there April 9th, 10th. I think I'm that weekend at the.
Good.
But while we're plugging, I just want to make sure. I don't know if I've mentioned this in the past, but I have a CD called "Hello, Boys, I'm Back." So.
Sherry, do you have anything you want to plug for the ladies and gents watching?
Just my website. Stay tuned. I have screenplay things that are happening, and I've been writing a lot of projects. So stay tuned to that. And I have a summer show coming up, and I'll just post it on my website. So
yeah, and SherryDavy.com and of course JuliaScotti.com and me. Just Google me because I have nothing going on. I mean, I'm hoping I literally walked by the place. What was it? But in Central Park where we used to do the shows, and it's supposed to be like 50. It's supposed to be 55 tomorrow. So I'm like texting the guy to stand up.
Oh wow! Yay!
I said, "Are you guys going to be doing a show?" So I'm hoping I might be able to do a show there. So everybody who's watching, give love to these fabulous women. Sherry, once we get the show going, because we, of course, we're supposed to have a big tour and that fell through. And so I'd love to have you join us because I think the three of us would be so much fun. We would have a ball.
It's been such a blast finally meeting Julia. So talented, and you were wonderful on the taping last year. I mean, I was there. It was fantastic.
Oh, thank you. I wish we didn't meet though. You didn't come up and say hello.
You know, I still have a high schooler who, by the way, is a senior through all this nonsense.
Oh Jesus! Oh God!
Talk about this year is her senior year. What a stinky year to be a senior. So I had to run home, and I'm still mommy.
It was a wonderful.
It was a wonderful taping.
Day,
Carol was wonderful too. She put together what a night.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
I'm very proud of it. I hope I can do more. My fingers are crossed that they come back and go, all right, this year was a blur, so let's try it again. But we are going to tour. I mean, I think I told this to Julia. I think the fall, is going to be where most of us will be vaccinated. I mean, the funny thing is, we were joking, my executive producer and I, we were joking about, like, the problem now, if we do a third one, is we have to make sure all the women are vaccinated.
This just came across my newsfeed while you were saying that. The White House just announced that they will have enough vaccine for everyone in the country by the end of May.
Oh yeah,
which moves up the timeline significantly. Yeah,
herd immunity. Yeah. Herd immunity. Who knew we'd be saying something like that?
I know. Let's not even.
I just can't wait to get back to the days of. I know this is terrible, but like mall shootings and STDs. I want that to be the big news. No more pandemic. Come on, listen. I'm done with this. Aren't you done?
I'm done.
We've done it.
All right, everybody. We love you. Everyone, stay safe. If you can get vaccinated, get vaccinated.
Absolutely.
And as soon as the clubs open, I expect every one of you damn people who've been watching to get back to us and come in and do live shows. So good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you, Sherry, so much. You were wonderful. Thanks. Bye.